Okay, it is now 6:01, and with that, we will do a recall to order of a regular meeting. Jackie, can we please start with a roll call?
Amanda Harness.
Here.
Fred Davis.
Here.
Steve Byers.
Here.
Ariel Owens.
Present.
Christopher Boyce.
Here.
Stacy Ramirez.
Present.
Vante Bynum.
Here.
Jenna Zimmerman.
Here.
All right, thank you. All right, next item, it is public participation and recognition. Public comments. Members of the public who wish to speak to the board shall complete a request card prior to the start of the meeting. This section of the meeting will be reserved for comments from the public. All comments should be limited to 3 minutes. Criticism of individuals is not in order. And we currently have 3 people. First person is Ms. Shannon Stoker.
Hello. My son Stevie was a kindergartner at Founders Elementary School. Yesterday was his first day. He has an IEP with door-to-door bus service. This bus was late, so I called Founders and spoke to someone, gave them my name and his name. I got told someone would call me back, and then someone did call me back and said the bus was on his way. Stevie got on the bus and left. At 3:45, I was watching his air tag. Skyward was not updated with his transport after school. I called and asked if he got a bus or if I had to pick him up. I was told that he was on, eventually I was told that he was on a bus, but they didn't know which bus he was on and they would call me back. I walked down to the regular bus stop thinking he might have been on that bus. At that time, I received my first phone call from the school telling me that Stevie was not there and had not been there all day. At that point, I called 911. An officer came to my house. We were tracing the air tag. This was pure hell for me. I thought that my child was gone. I thought I was never going to see him again. The school then called me again, adamant that he was not there all day. He never showed up to school. As I'm sobbing in hysterics, thinking I've lost my child, the only message I'm getting is he was not there. Over and over again. I said nobody had called me all day. I told them if he wasn't there, why didn't anyone call me? They said they didn't know when I should have been called. I had an air tag on his backpack, and my husband left work, and I sent him to the spot where the air tag was. Stevie was on the bus where the air tag was, a random bus. They kept insisting Stevie was not on the bus. The bus was surrounded by police officers who had also been following the air tag. My husband arrived and pointed to my son and said, "This is Stevie." The bus driver said 3 separate people told them he was not on the bus. She also broke down sobbing. The school then informed me that when Stevie got off the morning bus, they assumed he was a different student. They asked him, "Are you John Doe?" He did not respond. He spent the entire day as the other child, complete with taking this child's bus home. In his backpack, he had 3 items. Stephen Stoker. Stephen Stoker, Miss Maher. Miss Maher. This was in his backpack all day, along with the lunchbox that he had eaten. Nobody looked in his bag. He has an IEP with a language delay. He can say, "What is your name?" If you say, "What is your name?" he will say, "Stevie Stoker." We have spent ages working on that with him. No one asked him. No one bothered to ask a child his name. He's 6 years old. The superintendent was made aware and commented he was never lost. He was lost the second he got off that bus at Founders School. If I didn't have an air tag on him, I don't know when he would have been found. This
Thank you,
is
Mrs. Stoker.
extreme negligence. Everyone who met Stevie after he got off that bus failed him. This is cruel and unusual punishment to put a parent through, and I demand someone be held accountable.
Thank you, Mrs. Stoker. Next person is Stephen Ermilio.
Hello, my name is Stephen Emilio. I am here today to tell you what happened to my son Joe Emilio yesterday on bus 17 from Founders. Our son was dropped off 6 blocks away from his bus stop. My wife noticed he was not on the bus and asked her, where is our child at? The bus driver turned around and said he must have gotten off the wrong stop. My wife asked her if there was a check-in and check-out sheet. She said no, he's supposed to get off his group. My son is 5 years old and doesn't remember what he even ate for breakfast. How is he supposed to remember a group of kids he'd never seen before yesterday? The bus driver said to Tina Schroeder, I believe her name was, I had no idea how Joe got off the bus. Another girl on the same bus almost got off on the wrong stop too. This was told to us by Tina Schroeder. Tina also said this woman was trustworthy and a reliable driver. However, in one day she almost lost 2 kindergartners. She's in fact so reliable and trustworthy with children. There is now an aide on her bus to make sure this does not happen again. Tina said she was a community member, a mother, a grandmother, and she is absolutely mortified over the situation. However, my son has not gotten an apology from her. I don't care of her status within the community. To my family, she is a neglectful woman who has now traumatized my 5-year-old son, who tells us he doesn't want to go on the bus after school in case he gets let off at the wrong stop. You need to have aides on buses, all buses, especially buses with children who have IEPs. You need to ensure better safety practices to make sure children do not get lost again. Anything could have happened to these boys, and luckily they were both found and now safe. The district and the bus companies are 100% at fault for these events. These 2 bus drivers should have been ashamed of themselves. It's only the 2nd day of school and I do not trust the district with my children. You have failed us and our children. You need to learn from this and enforce more aids and better protocols to keep our children safe. We are supposed to now carry on as usually and act like everything is fine, but if this was your children, as people of the district, you would not accept the way things are. You would change the rules because it happened to you. So change the way things are because it happened to us. Thank you for listening. I'll be looking for these changes to be happening soon.
Thank you. Next up, Mr. Mark Sherlock.
On behalf of the 2 speakers who just spoke before, I feel very sorry for what happened and the irresponsibility of the leadership of this district, which I believe falls squarely with the superintendent. You guys just renewed this contract, and seeing this happen at the beginning of school, putting parents through hell like this, Minerva, there is no excuse for your leadership here. I feel very bad. I wasn't even going to talk about this tonight. I had other issues to talk about, but this poorly reflects on this district and the children. The children are in the care of you and your staff, and it's your job to see these children through and be responsible. And when the other speakers were speaking, you were just looking down, and I hope you issue some sort of statement about this because it rests at the top. This board, you have 1 employee, and that is the superintendent. That person is responsible for our children and has an overall say. You guys can only hire or fire 1 person, and that's the individual sitting right up there. So again, I feel very sorry for the parents, and I hope the kids are doing better, and I hope we never ever see an incident like this again and corrective measures are put in place. This is a poor reflection on this school district.
Thank you. All right, moving forward, our board correspondence. Any board correspondence?
I guess I would start with, just for me personally, I think it's important, I know we already have a statement, but I think it's important that we have things that we also just say as board members. What happened yesterday was unacceptable. We as a board, we as a cabinet, we as building administrators, the bus service that we contract with, there were failures at almost every level with what happened with those situations. So I genuinely want to say, as a board member, I am sorry for what happened. And I can promise you that all hands have been on deck to put in every measure that we possibly can to make sure that a situation like this never happens again. But I genuinely want to say that I am sorry that that happened.
I absolutely totally agree with that. I just could not imagine what a parent would be going through with that. No way. I got grandkids, man. I'm telling you right now, if one of them come up missing, somebody's gonna pay for it. Somebody's gonna pay for it. That is not acceptable. I totally agree with you, Chris.
I also agree. I think it's
Not at all.
shameful that it happened. I'm sorry.
Very much.
Now, on another very big change of track, since I think board correspondence was the time to talk about this, I think it's important that we as a board discuss if the sales tax, passes on the referendum, what we as a board intend to use it for. So I guess the first thing I would kind of pitch it to cabinet and Dr. Garcia Sanchez is, what is the district's intent or purpose that they would like to see this used towards, so that then we can review as a board to know?
Currently, we are working on a document that will help us to better explain it, but we're thinking right now that the preponderance of the funds that would come back from CFST would be used to pay back the debt that we currently have on the high school and any other building that we have. We have about an $81 million debt, is that correct?
Correct.
And we'd like to see that money being used towards paying that off. Hopefully we know that will also support lowering the tax payments our taxpayers will make. If there's something else that we can add to that, then I'd be more than happy to do that, but right now that's where we are in relation to funding. That is just for clarity, it is a penny tax. We'll have more information to share with everyone else, but as I mentioned, that funding will definitely help reduce our debt that we have, and I think that really makes the most sense for us, considering the other funding that we do have available to us from the south end and from the E-zone. And then, of course, the financial that we do receive from the state and the federal government.
Thank you. Any other board correspondence? All right, and then student board correspondence.
So on Thursday, we have our premiere night at the high school, so I want to invite all y'all to show up if you would like. But the DHS mini board through my position will also be there, having a table along with all the other clubs and activities, performances by the cheer and dance and marching band, so it should be a good night. On that note, in the mini board, we are going to have regular meetings starting up soon in the new school year. We are looking at planning the SIT conference as well as getting a shared calendar up and running. But, yeah, thank you.
And that fair is open to everyone, right? The entire district? That's how the email that was sent to me as a parent. Okay, awesome. Thank you.
Can I ask a question? Now that we have our new food service, how's that going?
So far I've heard pretty good things, personally trying the new food. The noodles are amazing. But I do definitely see an improvement as well as much enjoyment from the students. I could get feedback on that in the future.
Thank you. I'm interested in hearing back from the middle school as well, and I know that you've made connections there. So I'm hoping that you, at some point, you and the mini board and or the team at the middle school will be able to give us a report back on how they see the food differences, and not just the quality and quantity of food, but also the quality of service that they're receiving. Okay, so I think that if we get into a cadence of hearing back from you, it'll make it easier for us to make improvements with our food service contract. Okay?
Sounds
Thanks.
good.
And thanks again for everything that you're doing. And we hope you had a good start to your school year as well, for sure. All right, next item is the approved consent agenda items. It is recommended that the Board of Education approve the consent agenda items 5B through 5I, board minutes 8/6/20 from August 6, 2024, personnel item action items, purchase order requisitions, payroll for July, accounts payable for August, financial reports, donation to district, and employment contract for Little John Elementary Assistant Principal as attached. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Roll call?
Fred Davis,
Yes.
Steve Byers,
Abstain.
Ariel Owens.
Yes.
Christopher Boyce,
Yes.
J.C. Ramirez,
Yes.
Nate Bynum, Amanda Harness.
Yes.
Thank you. All right, old business, item 8, approval of MOU with National Youth Advocate Program Incorporated. The memorandum of understanding, hold on, I apologize, let me read the. It is recommended that the Board of Education approve the MOU with the National Youth Advocate Program Incorporated. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Roll call?
Steve Byers,
Yes.
Ariel Owens,
Yes.
Christopher Boys,
Yes.
J.C. Ramirez,
Yes.
Dante Bynum,
Yes.
Amanda Harness.
Yes.
Fred Davis.
Yes.
Thank you. Item B, Mensa Academy contract renewal. It is recommended that the Board of Education approve the contract with Mensa Academy for the alternative to suspension and credit recovery programs. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second.
I apologize. Roll call?
Amanda Harness,
Yes.
Ariel Owens.
Yes.
Christopher Boys,
Yes.
J.C. Ramirez,
Yes.
Dante Bynum,
Yes.
Fred Davis,
Yes.
Steve Byers.
Yes.
Thank you. Item C, this is an action item, approval of MOU with Greater Health Dental Clinic, Greater Family Health Dental Clinic. It is recommended that the Board of Education approve the MOU between DeKalb School District 428 and Greater Family Health. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Roll call?
Christopher Boys,
Yes.
J.C. Ramirez,
Yes.
Dante Bynum,
Yes.
Amanda Harness,
Yes.
Fred Davis,
Yes.
Steve Byers,
Yes.
Ariel Owens.
Yes.
Thank you. Item D, approval fiscal year 2024-2025 tentative budget and set public hearing for September 17, 2024. This is an action item. It is recommended that the Board of Education approve the fiscal year 2024-2025 tentative budget for public display in anticipation about the adaptation on September 17, 2024. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Roll call?
J.C. Ramirez,
Yes.
Dante Bynum,
Yes.
Amanda Harness,
Yes.
Fred Davis,
Yes.
Steve Byers,
Yes.
Ariel Owens,
Yes.
Christopher Boys.
Yes.
Thank you. Item E, Professional Relations Committee, PRC, DCTA Program, Course Approval Salary Schedule Credit, and CWC Course Approvals. This is an action item. It is recommended that the Board of Education approve the college programs courses and/or CWC courses as recommended by the Professionals Relations Committee. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Roll call?
Dante Bynum,
Yes.
Amanda Harness,
Yes.
Fred Davis,
Yes.
Steve Byers,
Yes.
Ariel Owens,
Yes.
Christopher Boys,
Yes.
J.C. Ramirez.
Yes. Item F, DFSS LOA classification movement from maintenance two to maintenance specialty. This is an action item. It is recommended that the Board of Education approve the LOA as written. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Roll call?
Amanda Harness,
Yes.
Fred Davis,
Yeah.
you said yes?
Yes.
Yes. Steve Byers,
Yes.
Ariel Owens,
Yes.
Christopher Boys.
Yep.
J.C. Ramirez.
Yes.
Dante Bynum.
Yes.
Item G, FDAS LOA pay adjustments for select staff compared to starting pay. This is an action item. It is recommended that the Board of Education approve the LOA as written. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Roll call?
Fred Davis,
Yes.
Steve Byers,
Yes.
Ariel Owens,
Yes.
Christopher Boys,
Yes.
J.C. Ramirez,
Yes.
Dante Bynum,
Yes.
Amanda Harness.
Yes.
Thank you. Item H, approval of MOU with Family Service Agency, FSA. This is an action item. It is recommended that the Board of Education approve the MOU with Family Service Agency for the 2024-2025 school year. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Roll call?
Steve Byers,
Yes.
Ariel Owens,
Yes.
Christopher Boys,
Yes.
J.C. Ramirez,
Yes.
Dante Bynum,
Yes.
Amanda Harness,
Yes.
Fred Davis.
Yes.
Thank you. Next item is future elementary school business, future elementary school updates. Do we have any updates?
I just wanted to share that Maurice McDavid has been on the job, and he has been working diligently in preparing his mission, the vision drafts. He is getting ready to have a community conversations for Mitchell, and he is also supporting a couple of our other schools as we get assistant principals put on. So not only is he doing what he needs to do for Mitchell, but he's also supporting us as a district as a whole. So I just wanted to give a heads up on what he's doing, since he's on board now.
Awesome. Thank you for the work that he's doing in the meantime with helping with other schools. All right, next, new business and administration. Item A, request to bid. These are summer projects 2025. This is an information item brought to us by Ms. Tammy Carson.
Good evening. Just wanted to come forth to you. Summer's just wrapping up and we actually haven't closed out all of our summer projects for 2024, but we are already planning for 2025, just a week into the school year. We do have a 5-year plan that we work off of to identify projects that we consider to be priorities, and some are projects that we haven't done, that we haven't moved forward with on previous years, or just time for them to come back to the top of the docket. In front of you is the request to bid the projects that we're looking at for summer of '25. I'll go over these just so we have all the information in front of us. First is our site improvements, which is our seal coating. We do a 3-year rotation on our parking lots to ensure that they are seal coated and striped professionally at least every 3 years. This year we're looking to do DHS, HMS, and Cheeseboro. Along with that, bringing forth the parking lot replacement project for the Education Center, requesting to bid that project. It's been deteriorating. You may remember we talked about it as a potential project for this past summer, but it was decided to delay that. But it is coming forth again. And then there are other concrete and asphalt repairs. Honestly, those can be a lot higher price tag than what I'm bringing forth, but because of budgetary constraints, I'm just asking to bid out approximately $200,000 based on ones that are more safety focused repairs that need to be considered. The next are toilet room renovations. We have been fortunate. We have now on our 3rd elementary that I'm presenting, actually also add Huntley Middle School to that list. This would be our 4th toilet room project in the last 3 years we would like to be considered. These are original toilets that are in the building that we've had issues with plumbing, drainage, those type of things that we've kind of limped along. And we just finished the Jefferson main bathrooms, not the pod, but the main bathrooms. And this year we're recommending moving forward with bidding out the Lincoln bathrooms for the student bathrooms. The next is a lighting upgrade. Many years ago, we upgraded the ceilings and lighting in 2/3 of the building at Littlejohn, but the original wing, which is located right off of door 2, just to the left of the main entrance door, that is the original wing of the building, and it was delayed back then because of the cost. The cost is much higher. It's double the cost because it has asbestos in the ceiling. So asbestos abatement is required. This project would be under $200,000, but because the abatement, that's where it's upwards of the $400,000 cost. Due to that, it had been delayed, but to be honest, we're at a point now with the lighting in there is not of good quality down that hallway for the classrooms that are in that hallway. And with that, when you're doing those type of lighting upgrades, you have to touch the ceilings because of the old fixtures, then you're all into the abatement process. So that's why this project is coming forward at this time. That will then take care of all the lighting upgrades that have been necessary at Littlejohn. That's the last of it at that building. We have 3, I call them build outs or renovations across the district in regards to space that we would like to renovate to be able to utilize it for other uses than it's currently being used. The first one listed is the archive room at the Education Center. When we renovated this building, we still had the entire archive room full of archive documents. That would be this room just on the other side of this wall. We've been working diligently on getting our paperwork scanned, our documentation scanned in many of our filing systems, and the archive is one that is being worked on as we speak. With that room would be available, but we still need a little bit of storage in that room, but not the entire room for storage. And we have a need for additional office space, for cubicle space, I'll say, for staff space in that room. So that's what that is being presented. The next is the workroom at Huntley Middle School. We are in need of some additional office space at Huntley Middle School. If you've been in that workroom, it's a workroom, break room kind of area. We're looking to change that so that it would actually have space for 2 offices, as well as still have a workroom, break room area still incorporated into that space. It would just be a smaller space. And then last in that list is the PE office at Lincoln. We considered renovating, but it was outside of budget this past summer. We're looking to renovate that office to be an office and a storage room. Currently, they store things in the storage in the back of the kitchen, and the kitchen needs that storage back, that room back. So we're looking to make some changes there. The next is the resurfacing of the track at DeKalb High School. It's at that point that it needs to be resurfaced. Playground replacements, Littlejohn and Tyler are the next 2 on the docket. You may remember you've approved Littlejohn, half of Littlejohn. That project is actually, the equipment was just dropped off today and will be started and be finished within 2 weeks. So half that playground will be done, but not the other half. This one on the list is to do the other half at Little John next summer, and then to also do the replacement at Tyler. With that, that leaves Lincoln that would need to be considered, and then in time Brooks also. So then we have pretty much touched the majority of our elementary playgrounds that need attention. So that was all operations and maintenance budget. So that's one budget we're looking at. The next one is, and so the total of those, it comes in at $3.1 million, just over that. This all has been discussed with our Mayor Doka in regards to budgeting for this upcoming year. So it's been considered in the budget that we presented. The next group that I have is shorter list, but it is roof replacements. I am very excited to say in the last 15 years, we have been doing roofs pretty consistently across our district because they had not been done regularly. And as you can imagine, roofs that leak cause other issues, air quality issues, all of those things come into play and disruption in the classroom. Huntley, a good question came forth. We just did Huntley maybe 4 or 5 years ago. Huntley is actually 5 sections of roofs because of all the additions that have been put into that building over the many years it's been in place. This is the last section. It's what's called the new wing from the 1980s or 90s, I think it was. It's the one above ELDC, back towards the middle of the building. With that roof being done, that is our last roof section in the district that'll be presented to you for many, many years. So very excited our roofs will be up to code and are still under warranties. Other life safety, there are 2 boiler replacements I'm recommending, Brooks and Founders, both end of life and are in need of replacing. This can be life safety as well as we have been working with a new water treatment company with all of the improvements we've been able to put into our HVAC systems, our boiler systems, our chiller systems. We have looked at upgrading to a water treatment company that has much better monitoring and efficiencies in regards to keeping our systems running efficiently, and so the life expectancy will be longer. But with that, there's some additional installation of equipment that needs to be done in regards to that. Again, that's all life safety money that we're proposing that is available in our life safety budget. Those projects between HVAC and roofs is coming in just under $1.4 million. I'll also make one comment about the HVAC. After this year, if we do Brooks and Founders, the next major one and the last major one on our list is the boiler at Huntley Middle School. It's the original boiler. It's still running Huntley Middle School, chugging along, but for energy efficiency reasons, we would look to replace it and put a backup boiler with that should that fail. But that will be coming in at a cost over $1 million, so we've made some changes. We've been able to hold on to not replacing it right away, but now we need to really consider that in the next couple of years. So with that, I'm bringing all of these projects forth to you to consider to go out to bid with the approval at the next consideration, approval at the next meeting. At that point, all we are doing is getting approval to design and bid these out, and then we'd be back in front of you in HVAC results would come back in approximately in the month of November because those have to be bid out early so we can get the equipment in time, and then the rest will be presented to you in February or March in regards to be considered, and at that point you can make a decision whether you want to commit or not to those projects based on the bid results.
For the resurfacing of the track at the high school, I know when we were doing it for Huntley, the coaches came and explained the difference between doing this much track versus this much track or whatever it was. Are we doing the better amount of track? Okay.
Yes.
I got a couple questions.
Sure.
You mentioned life safety earlier. Are any of these other projects being paid with any grant monies?
Not at this time.
Not at this time.
There could be a maintenance grant, it's typically only $50,000 that we have consideration. They have not presented that to us yet as an option, but at this point, none of those other projects would be grant money.
And also like the work here, like the archive room and stuff, couldn't we just do that in-house?
We could, and we have done those in-house before, but to take that much time out of a maintenance staff members to spend on a project at that level, we typically find it is more efficient to do it outside so we can get it in, get it done, and then we're not taking the time away from them that could be used for other work orders that are more critical to get done during that timeline. Again, if we bid it out though and find that the bid is at a level that it's not cost effective, we can always reconsider that.
Yeah.
And a lot of our updates that have been occurring in the last couple of years have been with ESSER funds, right? Some of them
Oh,
we've been able, like
absolutely.
a ton of them
This
have
is
been
the
able
first
to.
year I've been in
Right.
front of you in 3 saying,
This is
It's
not
all
coming up
O&M.
on us, right?
But we've been
Rather-
very fortunate because the ESSER funds has been able to accomplish many projects, especially in our HVAC, that we would not have been able to accomplish and been as far along in our HVAC replacements as we are today.
Actually, I think it would be a great idea if within the last few years that we have had ESSER money, that we delineate what projects we were able to complete so that we could see how much we've actually saved the district based on the fact that we've saved those very high-end costly items and used ESSER money for that. So
I'd be
I think
happy
that
with
would be a
that.
great way to kind of catch everybody up. And it would then make sense that now, after spending all of that under ESSER, you know, we're back to using our funds to be able to do these things.
And I do plan in the month of September to come back with just a presentation of our summer projects like I normally do in the fall of, you know, what has been accomplished, what does it look like, show off some pictures of the great work that's been done, not just by our contractors, but our own staff. And at that time, I can kind of have a summary page in there to break out that information in case you have any questions, you can ask them too.
Any other questions? All right. Consensus to bring this back?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, thank you. All right, next item is temporary facility permits, Lincoln, Jefferson, Little John, Brooks, and Cortland. This is an information item brought to us by Ms. Tammy Carson.
Thank you. Every year at this time, I come forth, our architect does a full inspection of all of our mobile classrooms, so the 5 across the district, whether it's the ones we lease or the one we own at Jefferson. They do an inspection to ensure that we are up to code on everything, and then I come forth to you to ask for your approval in approving those permits so that we can move forward and have them posted that those mobiles are approved by our architect, which in turn then is submitted to their regional office of education.
Can I ask a question on this?
Yes, of course.
Because obviously I got in the game late here. With the mobile units and the new school coming on, will we be getting rid of any units because of the new school or not?
We will. The ones we're looking to get rid of are Cortland and Brooks. Those 2 are slated to be removed next summer. Lincoln was never planned to be moved because based on the small building that is, there is absolutely no place to put a music classroom inside or a library. And those are the 2 things that are in the mobile classroom at Lincoln. So until an addition is put on Lincoln, unfortunately, the mobile has to stay.
Yeah.
To maintain a 2-section school.
Sure.
Jefferson is owned by the district, so that will stay because we own it, but it will become storage. It won't, it's been off and on in the past, but it won't be a classroom used by students and staff. It'll just be a storage facility. And then the other one that's going to be staying is Little John Elementary.
All right, any other questions?
I guess with the temporary units, is there still discussion, because I remember there was discussion about putting a restroom or something in one of them, is that still something we're looking to do, or will that be unnecessary if we?
I'll let Dr. Garcia Sanchez answer.
So Little John has been the center of one of the conversations that we've had over the past months, whether we would keep it or not keep it. Based on the fact that we have a dual language program, we want to say that we want to keep it a 3-section school, we would need to keep the mobile. However, it has come to our attention via the discussions with DCTA and amongst us that mobile does not have a bathroom. And so our little ones and all of our children are coming and going between the 2 buildings, whether it's cold, it's raining, or just plain old safety issues. So we are going to be asking for consideration of swapping that current one that we have at Little John for one that it has a hallway, an entryway, as well as a bathroom that would help secure obviously the safety of children, and then would also kind of, I think, would help mitigate some of the issues that we've had with rain and bringing in slush and those kind of things, so that we kind of also mitigate some of the mold issues that we've seen. That hasn't come up yet, but I'm glad that you asked about it, so that moving forward, you know that we're putting it out there. Thank you. Did I forget anything?
No, that's exactly it.
Any other questions? Consensus to bring this back?
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, item C is service agreement, special education consultant. This is an information item brought to us by Mr. Kyle Curtis.
Good evening. in an effort to continue to create a more robust kind of level of support for building administration, for special education teachers, for paraprofessionals, we have looked at ways that we could utilize expertise from outside of our district to help support that in a direct way, meaning being in classrooms, being in schools, and giving kind of coaching and feedback to all the parties that I mentioned, as well as more indirect, whereas that would be more consultation with our administrative team in the department. We would like to utilize or move forward with an agreement to have a consultant with large amount of special education experience in a lot of different ways to help us with that work. And so the agenda item that I'm presenting today is a agreement for consulting for the 24-25 school year with Lisa Gorschels. Lisa is a former DeKalb teacher, administrator. She's worked with NIU in their LEAD program in their special ed department. And of all those titles, she is a champion for students and families with disabilities and knows a lot about how school systems can work to provide the best services possible. So for all those reasons, we would like to move forward with the agreement for this coming school year. In total, the agreement would be up to $20,000, and we'd fund that through our Individuals with Disabilities in Education Act, or the IDEA grant funds, which are funds that we get as a district from the federal government for work like this to ultimately make our special ed programming better.
I'd just like to add, as you would recall, you approved us to be able to do an internal self-audit. From that audit, we were able to determine some of the needs I think that we already had discussed. So having Lisa come in to help us support that would make it easier as we're moving forward this year to connecting more closely to the classroom and building our administrators to be true instructional leaders. So this, I feel, will definitely work very well with our strategic plan and making sure that our students, especially our most vulnerable students, are getting the services they need, and that our leaders are able to give feedback and support and instructional coaching to all of our leaders and to those teachers.
One other thing to add to that is obviously a benefit for our kids and our teachers, but also retention and recruitment of a position, right? So we also recognize that we need to support our teachers, especially our special educators, many of which are new to the field, and so this is another layer that DeKalb 428 can do that, in addition to some other ways that we try to provide the best support possible. Any questions?
So I guess my question is this across education in general kind of common to bring in a consultant like this? Because I guess my perspective from an organizational top-down view is I hire a superintendent that builds a cabinet so that you guys can coach and build up the administration and build up the district. So I guess what are we paying a whole cabinet for if we're then hiring consultants to come in and do it anyway?
It's a good question. So, I look at my role as the Director of Student Services is to be able to assess what our needs are and to be able to make decisions to help us build on strengths, and then also if there's a gap, how do we fill that? I also have the luxury of, or the benefit of having worked in this district and having been around for almost 15 years now to understand where the expertise lies and what our needs are and where can we bring something in that maybe we just don't possess as a team. I cannot, and Lisa might be listening, I'm gonna just say 35 years of experience. She probably has more than that, I know she does. We don't have that currently, we're too young, right? So we need to bring in somebody who's done the job of a teacher, a administrator, and has seen things at the university's end, because one of the things, and Dr. Garcia Sanchez highlighted this, is we wanna really focus on instructional strategies. And Lisa actually taught a course on what we're trying to support our teachers in. So to answer your question, yeah, we always look internally to see if what we have as resources is gonna be the best fit. In this particular situation, we said, you know what, there's probably a better option outside, so let's use that grant money that we get for these reasons and apply it in that way.
Okay, thank you.
Can I ask a question? So with that being said like that, nothing against Lisa, because I know her personally, she's a great person. But for the kind of money that we're spending, why can't we send a person like you to a seminar and bring that information back and pass it on to everybody else.
It's a
I
good
mean,
question.
would it be cheaper, or I mean, you know,
Sounds like that seminar might be in
I mean, if you've been here
Hawaii, so-
15 years.
No, it's a, that's a good question.
I'm just saying with your years' experience, and I know that I know we have a lot of special ed teachers, but, you know, why couldn't somebody go to something like that and come back with this type of information?
Good question.
Can I help with this answer? So, we are a pre-K through 12th grade district. And all of us here have different specialties in how we work, right? And what we're doing is that we're triangulating the work, right? So for instance, Kyle and his team work to determine what work needs to happen. Then he has part of his team go out to support the teachers and those folks. However, we also have a group of folks that might need more support than what the general group is, right? So how many special ed teachers do we have in the district? Give around the number. Does anybody have that number? Okay, so it's a lot.
Probably close to
It's a lot.
100, yeah,
Okay.
I mean, we have.
So if we have someone like Lisa Gortros working with our teachers that are either right teetering on the fence or that need a lot more support, someone with her experience, especially in the lower grades where our students are beginning to come to school and they're learning, they're getting to learn, and she supports them the right way. The fact that she has all of that knowledge and experience to be able to support those teachers would be more closely aligned and getting things like started right away, right? Whereas, like for instance, your background might be more aligned to the SEL component of the work that we do, right? Whereas, you know, Lisa Becker's, so everyone has experience. When we're looking for a consultant, the way we bring a consulting in is we have a little gap. And we don't have somebody for that. As much as we want to be able to support everyone, we still need to be able to fill that gap. Lisa fills that gap for us. She had been the ELBC director, she knows early childhood, plus she also has experience with adult learning. So that all of that helps us to build our team a little faster and a little stronger instead of waiting for us to come up to par. Does that make sense?
Yeah, don't take this personal. Maybe we got the wrong person in charge.
Well, I'd be interested in hearing.
Something to think about.
Okay.
I get what you're saying, but when you're the head of something, you should be the head of something.
Okay. Thank you.
Any other questions?
I think aside from that, just from an educator's perspective, is always also bringing in innovative ways, right? The education and like just the research is actively shifting, and unless you are actively in school and participating in classroom spaces where you are advancing your degree or getting a doctorate, or even when you get a doctorate, I always say, you know, just because you have a doctorate, right, in this, you're still specialized in something in particular. You're not an expert in every aspect of education. You still are specialized in a particular area of education. So there's always either innovative ways to do things differently. There's ways to engage in the new curriculum or material. The way, you know, theory is actively shifting, so we have to stay abreast with that. You know, so it's just really also being intentional about utilizing those experiences and those expertise and bringing them into the classroom spaces where we may not be even tapping into. I think also, like you also mentioned, I'm not sure who this individual is, but you know, just even having different perspectives, even working in higher education. As an educator, all my experience has been in higher education. Coming in, I thought I knew education until you're in here, right? And you're a board member and you realize that education here, you read it in the books, but seeing it in actual action is very different, right? Now it's theory to practice, right? And it shows up very differently. So sometimes you do have, you know, it's not that we don't have the right people in places, it's sometimes that we have to utilize, like you all said, as education or things are actively changing, we have to keep up with the trends. We have to keep up with the needs, and we have to keep up with all of those things. And sometimes that comes through conferences, right? Attending conferences, so that we can find some of those things and utilize our experts to try to enhance that, what they already have, and support those skills so we can get better at what we're doing. And sometimes it does require bringing in outsiders to help us get there.
And I honestly just wanna jump in real quick again, just to kind of throw out there. And obviously you just came back to the board, but I will say that I think I speak at least for myself, and I think I would speak for most of the members of our board. There is not a single member of cabinet that is sitting here before you right now that has not earned their spot, that does not, they all belong in the spots that they are in.
Well,
But
that's not what I said. No, that's what I said, but my whole point to begin with was about continuing education. That was my point, about continuing education. They said it, but just in a different way,
Yeah,
you know,
I just
so
wanted
that's
to
my
make
point.
sure, cause
I didn't mean no
Yeah,
disrespect
yeah,
toward
no,
them.
just I know the way it came off, it came off like you were saying heads need to roll. I'll just say that's how at least it came off to me.
No, trust me.
So I just
I
wanna
don't
make
know.
sure that they know, that at least coming from me, every one of you in this room has my full support and backing and my trust in that you guys do your jobs well
I
and
do
right every
too,
day.
I do too, but I'll tell you one thing, if that's the way you felt, I'm sorry about that. But I don't have a problem saying what I need to say.
Yeah.
So if that's the way I felt, I would have said that. So, just to, make that clear.
Okay.
Thank you.
But, once again, the fiscal impact for this would be 20 grand and it will come out of the IDEA grant funds. So do we have consensus to bring this back?
Yes.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, item D, approval of separation agreement with former administrator. This is an information action item. It is recommended that the Board of Education approve the separation agreement with Mr. Dean Mustis as presented. Is there a motion?
Second.
Roll call?
Ariel Owens,
Yes.
Christopher Boyce,
Yes.
Stacy Ramirez,
Yes.
Sanjay Bynum, Amanda Harness.
Yes.
Fred Davis.
Yes.
Steve Byers.
Yes.
Thank you. Alright, and the last item for tonight is our superintendent report.
You know what that means. All right, so I'm gonna do some quick thanks to the tech department. So I apologize that when I did my welcome back to speech video, that I neglected to add my tech folks. I guess I always see them in the clouds and I think about everything that they're involved in and it's just like, you're right behind me, right next to me, and I tend to like lay that out and forget, but by no means did it mean anything. So I want all my tech folks to know that I really appreciate all the work that they've done. Behind the scenes, there's a lot of stuff going on, especially now that we have a new website, as you can take a look at. It's a beautiful site. I know that we were down to some this weekend, and I know that we had some issues with folks with trying to get things going. But this website is definitely going to be a lot more user-friendly. It will be very much well up to date, and I feel that more people will feel more connected to that. You'll get to see a lot more things. Things will pop up more easily and just be very decipherable up front. Do you guys want to add anything to that? You're gonna have to stand up and come over here. All right. So Rita and David Fram have been the ones leading this work. Rita is my content person, and David obviously is the tech guy behind it. Not to say Ben is not involved, he's been involved in all of that, but the
Ben is
hands-on.
involved. And I'm half tech, I think now, to just cut it down the middle. So it's been just a real quick overview, it's been about a year and a half in the making. These last 4 months have been incredibly intense to make sure that we get an old site that hadn't really been touched in over a decade moved into a new platform. So we had a successful rollover. It took a little bit of time over the weekend. We anticipated 24 to 48 hours. We were pushing that 48 hours, but made it. So David's done a great job. But this is still a work in progress. It's a living thing. There's a lot of still tweaks that need to be done, but we're confident that the bulk of the content that people need has been moved over. It's reliable, it's relevant, it's new. There's 14 active sites. So that's gonna continue to be a pretty monumental task, keeping 14 sites updated. I'm gonna throw in one teeny statistic. I had done quite a bit of analytics and analysis looking at kind of how our audiences are receiving information. One that really stuck out, within our social media, we had 350% increase year over year in click-throughs in our content. So when we put something on social media and it's got more to it, 350% rise. That tells me they're looking for information from us, and that's where they gotta go. So, I'm excited. Thank you very much for supporting the investment, and here we go.
Thank you. I'd like for everybody to take a chance to take a look at it, and definitely give us some feedback. Remember again that it's still in process. Also in process, and you may have heard, we moved over from a system 2.0 over to cumulative. And boy, has it been something else. And I always look at Ben and I'm like, it's not personal, Ben, but Ben leads this work with his team and all of us, including the cabinet, everybody else across the district, have a piece of it, right? And as we continue to build this out and get used to it, we're finding some kinks that we need to figure out. So we're hoping that everybody is patient with us. We know that, we had a little bit of trouble with enrollment and registration. We had a little bit of trouble with payroll. We had a little bit of trouble with everything. But here's the thing, in the end, we're finally, it's like going from Windows 6.0 to Windows 15 finally, right? And that's really what we did. So we're bringing the district to where it needs to be so that we can be really fully fledged and moving forward in a more technological way and becoming more efficient. So I'm asking for patience and a little bit of grace, but as you're finding things, please feel free to reach out to let us know how we can do better. So I want to thank you all for that. And then
Can I add something real quick to just acknowledge it, because I know you're all talking about it. As a parent, the updates for Skyward, awesome. Like I didn't realize that I had to re-download the app, so for anybody that is struggling to open it or reopen it, I then later on read the email when it came out, because I was excited when I saw your original message, so I went in there and tried to mess with it. And then I realized, no, you have to re-download the app. So for parents that are struggling, like myself in the beginning, to realize that, there's an email that was sent out asking us to re-download the Skyward app, and it's great, like, just to see now it shows you like a whole history of like your child's stuff, and very comprehensive. It's super easy to manage, but it was really nice to see those upgrades as a parent, because I am one that checks my kids' grades like every week and I stay on top of things. And just to see that shift, it was drastic, but it was a good drastic, right? So
drastic's a good word.
drastic,
Drastic's a good word.
right?
All
But
in
it was
all,
great, so thank you for that, to everybody that participated in shifting that.
Well, that's everybody.
Right, to
Everybody had a
everybody.
piece of that pie. Then we had, I want to thank Project Hope, because the New Hope Church hosted our Back to School Bash and allowed us as a district to participate. So we had all of our schools there, along with most of our departments were there. We serviced almost close to 270 families, I'm gonna guess. People are really excited and passionate about the things we were giving out. There were a lot of classroom items, book bags for kids, but there was also food. There was a time to get to know their teachers and the principals. All in all, it was a terrific experience. This is my 4th year doing it. I think that it's only getting better, so I really appreciate being a collaborative participant in this, and hope that they will continue to allow us to support. Okay.
And Dr. Shaw,
So-
I know, had a lot of
Yeah.
taking the lead on that from a church perspective, and also she's one of our district administrators, so it's awesome to see that.
Thank you,
So
you're
shout out to
absolutely
her.
right. Yeah, shout out to Dr. Shaw for all of her work there. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm about to read a public statement in regards to what has happened over the last day and a half. And before I do this, and I always tend to want to stay on script for this, but this is it's a very difficult topic for me, and I get very impassioned about it. My staff saw that today definitely, and last night. So I'm gonna stick to reading what we wrote, and I hope that you will understand that this comes from the best place that it can. The district office was informed of an incident involving a misidentified kindergarten student at Founders Elementary on Monday, August 19th. The child was mistaken for another child when getting off the bus in the morning and placed in the other child's classroom. The child was under classroom supervision during the day. All of us, are grateful the child was located on the bus route as he was going home and was safe. Although we are aware that information is being shared on social media, as a district, we cannot disclose any additional information or details to protect the privacy of the child, family, and staff involved as we work to resolve this incident. We are deeply sorry for the concern this caused the family. We will continue to conduct a full investigation of the events of the day, ensuring that each and every child is safe on their routes to and from school, along with their day at school. And it is a critical priority for us, and we will continue to evaluate and make adjustments to our procedures to that end. I also want to acknowledge that we have a father of a student that also had a disruption in their family based on transportation. And as we have been investigating, we are also discussing that situation as well. It is never our intent for anyone to be hurt. It is always our intent for our children to be safe inside and outside of school. Trust me when I tell you, my staff has been blown away to smithereens on the fact that we had a lot to fix to ensure that nothing like this ever happens again. So on behalf of the district, on my own behalf, I apologize. I am grateful that the children are fine, but I apologize that the families had to endure whatever it was, the feelings, the time, the desperation that you felt as this was occurring yesterday. Again, I'm going to leave it at that. So I'm gonna turn that back to you.
Thank you, Dr. Garcia Sanchez. And I do wanna make us, just a brief comment to add to that. Normally during public participation, we do not, interact with the public, so I don't wanna come off as insensitive to what, what was shared today. We obviously do care about, the situation that happened, and we are, grateful that that the children are okay and that everyone is doing their due diligence to ensure that this never happens again. So I just wanna make sure that, that the public understands that when we do have public participation, normally when we ask, even within the statement, that criticisms of individual is not in order, that also means that we usually don't interact with people back and forth or have those conversations so that it doesn't get, out of hand. So I wanna make it clear, because sometimes I think that people, it could come off to people as we are being insensitive or not addressing or not replying back to people when they're doing public comment, but we do hear you. We take notes of things, and we are actively seeking to address those things with our superintendent and the directors to ensure that, that these things are taken care of. So I do wanna say that because, again, I don't wanna come off as we are being insensitive to what is shared actively through public hearing or the public comment and public participation comments that are actively shared with us. But I just wanted to state that, so thank you to the parents and the families, and, we are hopeful that, again, that this will never happen again, and, we're working collectively to ensure that is, that their safety continues to be our priority. So with that said, it is now 6:59. Oh, any other comments before we wrap up? Okay. So with that said, it is now 6:59, and with that, we will adjourn. The meeting will be adjourned. It is recommended that the Board of Education will adjourn. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Thank you, everyone. Have a great night.